How's it going, y'all? It's me, Space Cadet, and today we got another pretty crazy story from my childhood. A story in where my dad had to use a chainsaw to cut me out of a tree. Before we get into today's story, I would just like to apologize for another late upload. I've been pretty busy the past few days, and I haven't had the proper time to make videos, so thank you all for being patient. You know the drill. Like it if you like it, sub if you want to, and hey, let's get into it. On this fateful day, me and my brother got together and we decided we was going to go play in the woods. And the way my parents' house is set up is you got the house, the backyard, and the front yard, and the driveway is all in a clearing. And then everything behind the house is just woods. It's nothing but dense, wooded land. And when I was younger, me and my brother had this game we would play. We'd try to see who could climb a tree the fastest, or who could climb a specific tree faster out of the two of us. So we decide to go in the woods and play our game. So we start walking up in the woods, and we don't go too far out. At this point, we could still see the house, and we pick our first tree. And my brother goes first. He climbs up that thing, and I time him. I don't remember how fast he was, but he comes down, and now it's my turn. And even though I was a small child, I was still able to get up these trees. So when it comes to be my turn, I get my position on the tree, and I fly up that tree, and I remember us being pretty close. I remember me and my brother being about equal. We could climb a tree pretty good. And we do this a couple more times. We're going from tree to tree, seeing who can climb them faster, until we come across this massive oak tree. And I challenge my brother to climb it. And this tree doesn't look very climbable. It doesn't have any right handholds. It's pretty straight and tall. There's not many branches towards the bottom. It's not an ideal tree to climb. But he folds, and he goes to the tree, and without hesitation, he starts climbing, and he only gets about 2 or 3 feet off the ground before he changes his mind. He's like, man, you can't get up the tree, there's nothing to grab onto. And I said, no, I think I can get up there. So I get into position, I get to where I think I can get my hands, and I get ready to get a good jump, try to get to a higher up branch, and I push myself off the ground, and I grab the branch, and I climb on top of it, and now I'm to the level to where I can reach stuff. And now I'm a little bit higher up on the tree where I can get a good grip to where I couldn't on the ground. And I decide this isn't enough. I want to go higher. So I climb a couple branches, and at this point of the tree, there's a fork in the tree where it kind of splits off, but it doesn't go two opposite directions. They kind of just split and kind of stay next to each other. But you can clearly see that they're two separate pieces of the tree. It's not one big trunk anymore. It's two separate trunks almost. Now this is still a really big tree. It's not like I could wrap my hand around this thing. Where this thing splits off, I could still barely wrap my arms around it. So this tree was pretty big. And I get about 2 or 3 feet above the Y of this tree. And I kind of rest up a little bit. I was getting tired. I rested my knee against the tree, and I was kind of holding myself up by one branch. And I was just kind of explaining to my brother how to get up the tree and how I kind of did it. And this is where shit hits the fan. This is where all hell breaks loose. I feel myself start to fall. And at this point, I'm pretty high off the ground. It probably wouldn't have killed me if I fell this far, but it definitely would have hurt. I definitely would have felt it in the morning. But the way I was positioned in the tree, I had kind of one part of the tree behind me and another part of the tree kind of in front of me. I'd positioned myself in between the Y of this tree. And so when I went to fall, I fell right in between where the tree splits. My leg falls right into that crack, right in between the split tree. So I'm now sitting on my leg that's trapped in this tree. So I got one leg dangling and one leg in this tree. I got one hand wrapped around the side of the tree and one hand grabbing a branch above me. And at this point, I didn't realize what had just happened, or I'd realized what had happened, but I didn't realize what I had done. So I'm just sitting there like, wow, I could have fell and ate shit. That's kind of that would have been kind of funny. And as I try to kind of reposition myself on this tree, I realize I can't go anywhere. I quickly begin to realize that my leg is completely wedged inside of this tree and I cannot get out. I originally tried pulling myself back up to where I was, and I realized that wasn't going to work. So I tried letting go of everything and tried falling out of the tree, but I wasn't moving. My leg was completely stuck inside of this thing. I even tried pulling the two parts of the tree apart, which looking back at it was never going to work. This tree was just way too big, and my brother's losing it at this point. He's laughing at me. He can't hold it. He just thinks this is the funniest thing in the world. I wouldn't say I was panicking, but I definitely knew that I'd gotten myself into a pickle and realized that I was not going to be able to get myself out of the situation. So my brother finally stops laughing, and he comes to try to help me. At first he tries to be a footstool to try to like let me kind of push myself out of the tree, and that didn't work. So he went to the other side of the tree and tried pushing my leg out of the tree, and that didn't work. So we were out of ideas, and at this point the realization kicks in. We're gonna have to go get my dad, and he is not going to be happy about this. And the reason I knew he was going to be mad is because it was nighttime by this point. It was still daylight when we left, and by the time I'd gotten myself stuck in this tree and realized we needed help, the sun was going down. So my brother hauls ass back towards the house, and at this point we're in the woods. I cannot see the house. So he darts off into the distance, and eventually he goes out of sight. So I'm just left here, sitting, hanging in this tree. It didn't feel like too long, probably a couple minutes come by, and my brother comes running back through the woods, and he's like, "Dad's on the way, he's coming." And a couple minutes later, my dad shows up. So me and my brother went into the woods trying to climb trees. I got stuck, so my brother had to go get help, and now it's nighttime. So my dad comes up there. He seems really jokative. Is jokative a word? If it isn't, it is now. But he was kind of joking with me, just saying, just being like, "How did you get yourself stuck in a tree? How? Cats get stuck in trees. I'll be damned if my son's gonna get stuck in a tree." At first, he just tries kind of giving me directions to get myself out of the tree, and that's not working. I've already tried everything at this point. I know it's not gonna work. So he tries being a footstool, trying to hold my leg up and get me out of there. That's not working. He tries going to the other side, trying to push my leg out. That's not working. So he says he'll be back. So they go back down the mountain. So they go back all the way back to the house. So I'm sitting there for like probably 10 more minutes. Sun's down at this point. It's not time. He comes back up, and at this point I just want to be out of the tree. It's been like 30 minutes since I've been in this tree. Just can't really move anywhere. I could move my head, and I could move my upper body just fine, but my leg was just fully wedged inside of this tree. Eventually my dad and my brother come walking back through the woods, and they've got flashlights, and I see my dad walking up with something in his hand, and I can't get a good look at it because I'm in the dark and having to peek around this tree. But my brother comes up, and he's just kind of talking to me. They were definitely trying to distract me from what was about to happen. Looking back at it, they was just trying to do anything to keep my mind off what my dad was about to do, but my brother was just trying to keep me occupied. Turns out my dad had a chainsaw in his hand, and I realized that very quickly when he turned it on. Now, he starts up his chainsaw, and he revs it a good couple of times, and he sticks the chainsaw up to the tree right underneath my leg, and he starts a cutting. So he'll cut a little bit, and then he'll stop. He'll pull the chainsaw away, and then he'll look at it, and he'd cut just a little bit more, and then he'd stop, and he'd look at it. This whole time I wasn't freaking out, but I knew I was getting out of the tree one way or another. He was going to cut the tree down, or he was going to cut my leg off. Either way, I was getting out of that tree. So I was just trying to shield my eyes, trying not to look. And he does this for a while, and eventually we hear a couple pops in the tree. So my dad and brother kind of take cover behind me, and as the side of this tree starts to fall, my dad grabs me out the tree so I don't fall with it, and he sets me on the ground, and he doesn't have a word to say. He's just smiling and laughing. He's red in the face. He thinks this is the funniest thing ever, and still to this day, both my brother and my dad give me shit about this. So if you've learned anything from this video, don't go climbing trees as a competition. And that's about it for this one. Like it if you like it, sub if you want to. And hey, I'll see you in the next one.